Hi guys, my name is Christine and I'm a dating, relationship and personal development coach. And today I'm talking about act weak and you will get rejected, okay? So first of all, what do I mean by act weak, right? What do I mean by weak in this sort of situation, right? Especially in terms of dating and when you're trying to attract someone into your life. If, let's say you're a guy watching this and you have a crush on a girl, or perhaps you have been rejected and you're wondering why, how did this happen? Why did it go wrong? Or maybe you're just looking for the characteristics that to learn the characteristics that you shouldn't display if you're trying to attract someone, especially a woman, okay? So what I personally mean by weakness is when you don't have very good emotional self-restraint. So for example, let's say you tell a woman that you're in love with her straight away, like when you go on a first date or a second date, or you're asking for a relationship straight away. Other weaknesses could be people pleasing. That's a huge one, right? Being a people pleaser. So that means that sort of like when you're on a date with a woman or someone, you are wanting them to really, really like you and you're desperate for them to like you, instead of being on a date and being a bit skeptical and figuring out, instead of I'm trying to make this person like me, asking yourself, do I like this person? I need to ask them questions, to find out if this is someone who I would like to be with, right? Instead of coming from that place, right? Instead of thinking, how can I make this person like me? Figure out if, can I make, what about this person, do I like? What do I like about this person? Right? Do I like this person? Instead of being so internally like, oh God, I gotta make them like me. I've got to seek their approval. Because guess what? Not everyone's gonna like you. Not every woman you date is gonna like you. Some women may just not like the fact that you're called, the same name as their brother. You might go on a date with a woman who, you have a similar name to someone that they know or something. It could be the fact that they just don't like the way you dress, or it could be they don't like the way that you speak because it reminds them of a teacher that they didn't like at school. There can be lots of different reasons as to why a woman doesn't like you, right? But the thing is, you shouldn't take that personally, because I'm sure you've also had the same experience where you've met women, you may have even gone a couple of dates with women that you just didn't like for some reason. Perhaps they looked too much like someone you had already been with, or perhaps they looked too much like your sister, like I don't know, right? But the point is that you shouldn't take it personally if a woman doesn't like you, okay? Because you're not gonna get every single woman in the world who you go on a date with, at least, right, to like you back, right? Some girls are just not gonna like you, okay? And you gotta allow that. You gotta be yourself, basically. You gotta allow that. Be who you are. Speak your truth. Don't try to please them. Try to figure out if this person is actually good for you, and just see what happens. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But you can't be so desperate for it to work out, right? And that's a sign of weakness. If you're desperate for them to like you, instead of figuring out if you even like them, then you're in a place of weakness, okay? So that's essentially what I mean by weakness, right? Not having that emotional self-control as well is a big one, right? I used to have that trouble when I was younger, right? Instead of just saying and being flat out, if saying to a girl that I like them, I would just, wait for months and months, and then I would build up so much emotion because of it. I would play a weak move and I would send them a letter explaining them my feelings, or write them a long message on Facebook, or I would just say that I loved them to them, right? And they're like that. I can just imagine the look on, I can still see the look on some of these women's faces when I did that sort of thing. It sort of like came out of the blue, came out of nowhere. So anyway, you don't want to be displaying any of these kinds of signs of weaknesses, okay? So you got to work on that if you personally have been displaying any of those kinds of behaviors, or you've displayed those kinds of behaviors in the past. Okay, so if you've acted weak in that sort of way, then you got to realize that that's never going to help you acting and behaving in that way. So you need to start building yourself up, becoming more confident in yourself. Now, personally, I think the best way to develop self-confidence is to actually be taking action on things that are good for you, taking action on things that are going to help you move forward in life, to get you from where you are now to where you want to be in the future, wherever that may be for you. working on those things can really help. I also think like physical challenges, you know, so like exercise really helps build your confidence as well, because we all get like a rush after we've had like a really good vigorous exercise, and it makes you feel good about yourself, and it boosts your confidence. So doing stuff like that. If you want to read a good book on that kind of thing, then I recommend Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. That's a great book to help you develop your confidence in that way. It's probably one of the best self-help books I've ever read. I'm going to put it on my recommendations at some point. But anyway, you know, that's a really good book to help with that sort of thing, to help with that mindset. Another book when it comes to like dating that can help, especially if you do find yourself being quite weak and not being able to help yourself but people please. A book that's really good about that topic is Models by Mark Manson, and that is in my recommendations. It's in the description of this video. Yeah, that book is a really good one when it comes to dating, a brilliant one that can help you basically prevent being rejected as much as you possibly can, but also allowing and understanding that some women are just going to reject you, okay? Like, you're not going to be everyone's cup of tea, basically, okay? So I'm just going to go into basically my story and the times when I was weak and how I basically stopped being that way. So when I was a teenager, like I said before, like I would send letters, love letters to girls that I liked, or I would just say that I loved them and things like that. Basically going from 0 to 100, you know, going from being friends and suddenly just, saying that I was in love with them and things like that. And even when they rejected me and things like that, and they said that they weren't interested, essentially, I would still try to please them. I'd still try and do things that would impress them, right? And that is weak and needy behavior, okay? If you're trying to impress someone, then you're being needy and weak, okay? Because you should be able to just impress yourself. You should just do things that you think is good, not trying to act like a clown in front of girls or whoever it is. It doesn't have to be that. It could be like you're trying to impress your in-laws or something like that. But when you act like a clown, or you're doing things that when you're trying to impress other people, you are being needy. So you need to reverse that. Do what you feel good. Like if you just want to sit around and just have a relaxing time when you're at a party, just do that. Don't feel like you need to get up and like prance around or whatever it is that you do, or you need to start drinking loads so you look really cool. Just do what you want to do. Do what makes you feel chill. Do what would impress you, right? Do what you personally want to do that makes you feel good, and living from that place, and kind of directing your life from that place where you're just going to do what pleases you. It doesn't mean that you're selfish. It just means that you're not going to try and prove to people that you're worthy. You should already be acting like you are worthy, right? But there's the opposite of that, right? There's narcissism, which is just another form of weak and neediness, right? So narcissism is where you are basically just loving yourself way too much, essentially, and using other people because deep down you just feel really insecure anyway, right? It's just one of those things. So narcissism is like still neediness, it's still insecurity, but it's just in a different form, basically. Okay, so because I'm just saying to you, oh, you got to impress yourself, it doesn't mean that you have to go around thinking that you're the bee's knees. Okay, you may feel that on the inside, but you shouldn't treat people like garbage. It's just about having self-respect and doing the things that you personally would like to do, and basically speaking your truth, like having your own opinions, right? And not changing your opinion to impress someone or to make someone else feel comfortable. Okay, just say what your opinion is. If you've got an opinion about something and someone asks you what your opinion is, then by all means give it as truthfully, no matter who you offend, no matter who may get upset or who may disagree with you. Because sometimes that's where I was in a place. I even did this with my friends. Like, if they said to me that they liked a certain band, then I would be like, oh yeah, I love that. I love that band too. It wasn't necessarily I was trying to get them to be impressed or anything like that. I just wanted them to like me. I just wanted them, because I felt like if I told them the music that I liked, they wouldn't like me and they wouldn't want to hang out with me, right? So it doesn't just have to be in romantic situations. It can be in all kinds of situations, right? It can be friendships. It could be like trying to impress your boss. It can be trying to impress your colleagues, trying to impress the people that you go to school with, that, you know, think people like that. It doesn't always have to be when you're trying to impress someone that you're in love with or that you like, right? So you just got to be yourself, right? And if they like you, that's great. If they don't like you, well, at least you're honest about who you are. And now you know that person isn't for you, or that friend isn't someone that you should be friends with. Because most of the time, if someone's a good person, they won't care if you like a different band to them, or they you like different movies, okay? You know, if you have, you know, because if they do and they get really upset about that sort of thing, then they shouldn't be part of your gang. They shouldn't be part of your sphere of people, basically. So there was other times when I was weak as well. Like, for example, there's one that I talk about quite often, and that is one of my exes who I was in a relationship with for a year, and I kept on going back to her even though she kept on cheating. And then eventually I did get a backbone and stop the relationship. But it took a while to get there, because I just thought, oh, I'm never gonna find anyone as good looking as her. I'm never gonna find anyone that's gonna love me as much as her. And little did I know that I didn't think anyone could love me as much as her, but I did, right? I thought that it kind of changed my worldview when I met my wife, because, you know, I thought I would at least find someone who could love me, you know, at the same level as that person. That's how I thought relationships were, because that was the only relationship I could really go on, because that was my longest one. So when I met my wife and I found out that someone could love me way more than that, it really surprised me. So, you know, when you are, you know, especially if you're going for like a situation with an ex or something, you know, just because you feel like you're never going to find anyone that's going to love you more, or you think that you've peaked with that person, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's the case. In fact, it's more likely that you can find someone who is better, who does love you more, and things like that. So that's just another example of an area where I was really weak. You know, I was allowing this continual disrespect, right, of being cheated on, and it was all because I was fearful. It was all because I was insecure, right? So working on those insecurities is really going to help your situation. So thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to get in touch with me personally, then please go to www.christineloveridge.com. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall talk to you again very soon. Goodbye.